All right, thanks for joining us back in here as we take a look at the Kansas State high school football playoffs, the second week of the high school football playoffs, and try to predict who the closest games are going to be in tonight's action. Down to Class 1A, I think we're headed squarely for an Olpe Inman 1A state championship game, and I'm very excited about it. I think it has the potential to be a really exceptional game. I think the other contender may be Sedgwick in this. Depends on whether some injuries that they have limit them in any ways or not. But as we look at potentially the closest games on the night, I'm not sure there are a lot of contests that are going to be super close. But I think you look at Conway Springs and Plainville, I think that has the potential to be a good physical, hard-nosed matchup between two teams that like to hit. Conway Springs is going to run the ball, although they are throwing the ball a little bit more than they have in the past. But when it comes to trying to pick the closest contest, I think you probably got to look at the Jeff County North versus Troy matchup. Troy's got a pretty wide open offense with behind their quarterback Camden Anderson. And Jeff County North has maybe been a little bit of a surprise this season. I don't know that necessarily that people expected them to do quite as well as they have. I think at the end of the night, you're probably going to see that Jeff County North Troy game be the closest margin of any game in 1A. Let's move over to 8-man 1. Clifton Clyde and Canton Galva. I think that's going to be the closest game of the night. I think it's going to be an absolute great affair. The only reason that we shouldn't think that is because it's been a while since Clifton Clyde has been able to win a really, really big playoff game. And that's what they're in here, is a really, really big playoff game. Canton Galva, I know, struggled with Donovan West a little bit last week, and I think they had to move Tyson Struber into the backfield, let him run the ball a little bit more. That helped out a lot. Clifton Clyde with Jet Skockney and Seth LeClaire, and they have several seniors that are a big part of what they do there with that program. Of course, they're going to run the ball at you, and they're going to try to be physical. And I think that this is this has the chance to be a very close game. You consider both of these teams, their only losses to Little River. Clifton Clyde's was 14-6, and Canton Galva's was in a shootout affair, and a late touchdown maybe made the score a little bit closer than the game ultimately was. And then when you try to pick who the state champion is going to be in this classification, I think Clifton Clyde, Canton Galva, Madison, Little River, and then even on the other side, Hill City, Trigo, Meade, they all have an opportunity to be a factor in this classification. I really think it's going to be fun to see how this classification shakes out. I think this classification will give us more good games than probably any other classification out there over the course of the entirety of the playoffs. And then finally, we go down, we take a look at 8-man 2 here, try to determine who maybe is going to be the closest game on the night. Axtell certainly looks like the favorite. I really like Thunder Ridge to potentially come out of this and string together a state championship run this year. Of course, Hanover got a nice win over Osborne last week, but still maybe not the Hanover teams of the recent past. I really like this South Barber-Norwich game to be probably the closest contest in terms of margin on the evening. South Barber with Gatlin Jewell, his younger brother Briggs is doing some great things for them. They're putting together a nice season, and they already had a 2-point game with Norwich earlier in the year. Norwich is putting together one of their best seasons in quite some time, with Trey Schrader at the quarterback, and Chance Hilger is a nice player for them, and they've got some younger players too, so they might have an opportunity to have some success here for another couple of years. I think the east side of this bracket is probably where you're going to find your champion, whether it be an Axtell or a Hanover or Thunder Ridge. Not that Frankfort can't compete with Thunder Ridge, but I think Thunder Ridge is a better team if they come to play. Victoria, very likely the favorite on the west side of this bracket, but I think ultimately probably Axtell is going to. My apologies, Thunder Ridge is going to find a way to beat an Axtell team in a likely semifinal matchup, and then I think Thunder Ridge ultimately probably delivers a state championship for the Longhorns under Coach Joel Struckoff. So that's a look at our playoff breakdown. Again, I think Kansas Wesleyan, I think Mammoth Sports Construction, I think Nix Tech Wireless, I think safe seatbelts are for everyone. They've been a great sponsor of the stuff that we're doing this year. So remember, you're out on the road, make sure you get your seatbelt on, and just be safe and stay off your phone and do all those kind of things. Garden City Community College, check them out. And be sure and check us out at kansaspregame.com. Check out the Prep Power Index, and then look for information about the winter edition previewing basketball and wrestling coming up here in about 3 weeks. It's right around the corner. So, hey, thanks a lot. This is John Betts with Kansas Pregame. And remember, everybody, let the players play, let the officials officiate, and be a good fan of Kansas high school sports. Thank you.